Hey, Thomas from Field Tennis. Today we're continuing the topic of disguising your serve and how to read the serve. So if you want to disguise your serve, you first need to know how does someone read your serve or how you can better read the serve. So that was the topic of the previous video. I will put a link in the description, or you might see a card above. So jump over that if you haven't seen the first video on how to read the serve. And today we're going to talk about how to disguise the serve once we know how our opponent is reading the serve. But in order to start talking about how to disguise the serve, we need to dispel a very common myth. And the myth says a good server, like a top pro, can hit any type of serve from the same toss. So that means they're disguising the serve. We don't know, are they going to hit a flat or slice or top spin? So I want to dispel that myth, so that you understand that that's not really the case. And to do that, we're going to have to jump into the video analysis app and do a little bit of theory so that you understand what types of serves can be served from different contact points, so from different tosses.
Okay, so let's take a look at a topspin serve. The yellow line you see coming from my racket all the way down is marking the peak of my racket. So this was a topspin serve. I'm coming up on the ball. So here I'm contacting the ball. The racket's still a little bit sideways. And on the next frame, the racket goes forward. It appears a bit lower, but that's because it moves forward in space. But this is my maximum reach. So you can see that the racket is now basically vertical. So I cannot reach higher. And so this is the line where the racket reaches the peak. So if you can picture something like this, if I exaggerate a little bit, then it's something like this, that's the peak. And so on this side of the yellow line, the vertical line, the racket is going up. Once it reaches the peak, we have a bit of sensation that we can go a bit to the right to apply slice, and then obviously it has to go down. So why is that important to know? So here's again just that you picture I'm tossing the ball, and this was a topspin serve. So if I just let it play a little bit, that you see that was a topspin serve. And why is this serve topspin serve? Well, this serve is topspin because I'm hitting the ball below the peak, so the racket is still angled, and this move up, so from this contact point and higher, gave the racket a bit more upward motion, and that is enough to impart some topspin on the ball. And so topspin is only possible as long as the racket is on this side of the line. So if I exaggerate a little bit and we ask the question, let's say even at this frame here, we say, is it possible if I were to make contact right now, would that be a topspin? Yes, because the racket is still on the way up. So here topspin is possible, and here topspin is possible if this was the contact, and here topspin is possible. Why? Because the racket's still moving upwards. And here at the peak, topspin is not possible anymore because the racket is now kind of just going like this, and then it's going to start to go down. So at the moment the racket goes on the right side of the yellow line, topspin is not possible anymore. So now that you understand that topspin serve is only possible on this side of the yellow line, of where the racket reaches the peaks only, while the racket's still going upwards, then if we return back to the myth that says a good server can hit any type of the serve from the same toss, and we know that we cannot hit a topspin serve on this side because the racket's not going up anymore, but we can hit a flat and a slice serve on this side. And the myth says that a good server can hit any type of serve, so that includes topspin. Then the only possible option is that, okay, then we need to toss the ball on this side so that topspin is possible, and we're going to try and hit flat and slice from this position.
So now that you've seen the analysis here and you understand that in order for me to be able to hit a topspin serve, I need to have the ball behind me. So for me, behind me, so from your perspective on the left, but for me, when I'm like this, I'm serving. So I need to have the ball on this side of the body to hit a topspin serve. Then you understand that if we want to disguise the serve, and hit from the same contact point, also topspin and flat and slice, then that means I would need to toss the ball for topspin serve here. So for topspin serve, and try and hit a flat and a slice serve from there. So I would need to toss for topspin and try and hit a flat serve. You already see what's happening. Or toss the ball for topspin and try to hit a slice serve. So theoretically that's possible. I can do it, but it's very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable for the flat and slice serves because I'm in this position and I'm not unwinding in a comfortable way that way, but I need to rotate more towards the court. So it's very uncomfortable and no one does it. So if you just want to kind of know theoretically, is it possible? It is possible, but it's very uncomfortable and I lose a lot of power and precision and no one does it. So that's one thing. And the second thing is, if I'm going for the first serve, I don't really want to disguise my first serve and hit a topspin serve because it's too slow. So no one does it. No one is trying to disguise their serve and hide a topspin serve. What we do want to hide is whether we're going to hit flat or slice. That's our main priority. But we're not trying to hide a topspin serve. Also on second serves, when the player is about to go for second serve, no one is trying to hide their intention that they're going to hit a kick serve. Everyone knows that the kick serve is the most reliable serve. Almost no one is doing any experiments unless they're like 5 love, 40 love, and then they whack the first serve again flat or slice. So they're not playing seriously, but no one is going to do some strange experiments with the serve at critical points. So this is the important conclusion or understanding that this myth is not true. We are not trying to hide all 3 types of serves, because for one, we don't really try to hide the topspin serve. It's useless and just puts us into trouble. And secondly, if we are keeping the ball more above us at the highest contact point, we cannot spin the ball because we've used all the upward motion already, so topspin is not possible. And so we can only hide a flat and a slice serve from the same toss. So we can do it 2 ways. Either we bring the slice toss a bit more into the flat position, so flat is a bit more above me and a very comfortable slice position is a bit more on the right side. So now I have 2 options. Either I try to hit a slice serve from the flat position here, which is very doable, as you can see, and that's what the pros normally do. So they're tossing a bit more above them so that it seems like a flat serve, but they can hit a slice serve. It's also possible to toss a bit more to the side for slice serve and go flat. That is also possible. On the ATP or WTA Tour, you will not really see that, because the contact point is lower and players don't have a good angle into the court, so they prefer to choose this option where they can hit from a higher contact point and have a better angle into the court. But at recreational level it is possible, especially if you're not going too fast and it kind of suits you, it feels comfortable. To me it feels quite comfortable to hit a flat serve here, you can see, and I can hit a slice serve here, so it is possible and you can experiment with that if that feels fine for you. Just keep in mind you can't go really fast because your angle is quite shallow, but you don't need really fast serves. At recreational level you need consistency and good precision, and that causes enough trouble.